Chip, did you know that the book of Judges talks about a king before there was a king, as if it's anticipating a king?
I didn't know that. I thought it was about judges.
Stay tuned for more. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Today, we're going to get into Judges chapter 13 to 21. This is continuing what we were doing on Friday nights, but due to some circumstances, we can't continue it in the environment that we're in. So we decided to put it on the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, you missed some content that you can find on YouTube, Modern Mind, Ancient Book. My name's Roger. I'll be your host. Chip, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, it's a pleasure as always, Roger.
Without further ado, let's get into Judges, starting in chapter 13. So this is the Samson cycle, to start anyways. So it's the overview of this is the Samson cycle, civil war, and then, collapse of Israel's moral order, which I wouldn't say and then, it's just collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
So, in those days, there was no king in Israel. Everybody did what was right in his own eyes. Did what was right in his own eyes. What does that echo for you?
That sounds to me like the taking, like you just look and see and take. That's and call it good.
Yeah, I think pre-flood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where each one did what was right in his own eyes. And, the interesting thing about this is that in that environment, God is still willing to work.
Yep.
So, covenant of grace, anyone?
Yep.
So chapter 13. Now, the sons of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord gave them into the hands of the Philistines. Now, this is repeated often.
It is. You're talking about getting in the hands of the enemy.
Well, and the people doing evil in the sight of the Lord, right? So, the book of Judges opens with the people being unable to complete the task of taking the whole, land, right? Like, you're called a Zionist if you believe that Israel should own this gigantic swath of land.
Right.
Well, I mean, what it is it's, it's from like Deuteronomy and Judges.
Yeah.
Right? So, the Bible says that Israel was supposed to be the ruler, the leader of, the owner of a gigantic swath of land from Mesopotamia to the sea, and then basically from Egypt all the way up like into Syria, Damascus, Jordan. All that stuff is their land.
Right. What do we call that? Geographical covenant or covenantal geography?
Yeah, theological geography.
There we go.
God called that theirs, and so it was to be theirs. And Israel to this day, the religious folks that believe the Bible, they're still attempting to make that happen, and everybody's angry about it. But dear Christian, I would counsel you first to understand the stories and their context and what they mean and why they mean what they mean, and how God operated through that time. And then, all these individual stories, which we're going to talk about today, and then not to be offended by that. Because Israel, this is hard for me to explain without offending someone.
Right.
Because we tend to take things a bit too literally when we should take them biblically. Because truth is truer than truth. Meaning this, is there a physical Israel? Yes, absolutely. They're descendants of Jacob. They have DNA. Right?
Yep.
And people argue that the people there aren't that. There's all these things, right? So like Israel doesn't have a rifle. You know who has a rifle cry that will come true is the people of God.
Yeah.
And that's their land.
Right. Well, God basically gave it to them.
Yes.
And seeded it and everything.
And so it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. But it won't be by flesh. So, it won't be by the might of the warrior. It will be by the might of the king of Israel. The king of all those who are called by God's name. And whose name are you known, kind of thing. So, if you're offended by that, I would say just read the Bible more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, the people did evil, just as Christians are continually doing evil and being given over to a reprobate mind. Israel was given over to a reprobate mind. But there was a certain man, Zora. I'm trying to remember to just say these names. My scholarly mind says I have to say it in Hebrew.
Right? Yeah. And that was actually the town named after his clan. His name was Manoah, I believe, the actual father of Samson.
Yeah, a certain man of Zorah, the town, right? A family of the tribe of Dan, the Danites, whose name was Manoah. And his wife was barren and had bore no children. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her. Now, this is a motif that we've seen numerous times.
Over and over.
Yeah. So those of us who say that, God could never be a man, like, think Islamists, Islam, or even Judaism for that thing.
Right.
So, God could never be a man. Well, he's been doing this for a long time.
I was going to say, there's, walking all through the Old Testament.
And, you can attempt to redefine this how you want to, but Jacob worshipped this man God.
Yep.
And Abraham. So just understand that God has done some things that you may not be comfortable with. But he keeps reappearing, and he keeps moving the story forward, even in a place that's full of people doing evil things.
Yep.
Who knew better than to do evil things.
Well, that's kind of the whole redemption arc in this. That's why you see grace in it.
Yeah, well, it has to be a covenant of grace because it wasn't a covenant that was kept.
Yep.
If this is a covenant of law, then everybody should just be dead.
Yep. That's not God's plan, though.
No, it was never God's plan. So the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, "Behold, now you are barren, and you've borne no children, but you shall conceive and give birth to a son." There was another woman who was told that she shall conceive and give birth to a son.
Yeah, that was
Mary.
I can think of Mary. I can also.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
This is a theme.
Yep.
Now, therefore, be careful not to drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. So it is tied to what you do, right?
Right.
These are people who were faithful Israelites.
Yep.
They loved God and they did what He said. They walked the way. For behold, you shall conceive and give birth to a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for the boy shall be a Nazarite. Now, the Nazarite vow was given a while back. It was one of the very first things that was delivered in the wisdom of God,
right.
What we call the Torah, the law. And this is the very first Nazarite that was commanded.
Got it.
Commanded by God.
Right, so basically it's a vow to do certain things, like he can't drink wine.
To be set
right?
apart.
Right.
Yep, to be set apart from the world.
And so...
Yeah, this Samson character is commanded to keep the Nazarite vow. Now, the Nazarite vow is it's pretty strict. It's not overly complicated. It's found in number 6. So this is what it says: "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when a man or woman makes a special vow, the vow of a Nazarite, to dedicate himself to the Lord, he shall abstain from wine and strong drink. He shall drink no vinegar, whether made from wine or strong drink, nor shall he drink any grape juice, nor eat fresh or dried grapes. He has to be cut off from the fruit of the earth."
Got it.
Interesting, huh?
It is
All the
interesting.
days of his separation he shall not eat anything that is produced by the grapevine, from the seeds even to the skin. All the days of his vow of separation no razor shall pass over his head, and he shall be holy until the days are fulfilled which he has separated himself to the Lord. He shall let the locks of his head grow long. All the days of his separation to the Lord. He shall not make himself unclean, which means he can't even go to like the funeral of his brothers and stuff like that, or his mother. Okay, so this is like a pretty serious thing. This is actually a vow that Paul took.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did.
That's cool.
Yep, he shaved his head and he took this vow after the Emmaus Way thing. So, interesting thing. First, I'm not sure if this is the only command that's ever been given for somebody to be a Nazarite by the angel of the Lord. I think it is.
Wow.
So, this is just an odd time. This is God, and I can't say this enough. This is a messianic thing, especially anointed for this.
Right.
This is God intervening in a world that's dark by bringing a child.
Yeah, I can definitely. Yeah, I can see some messianic.
Who's totally set apart from the world.
Right.
But we're gonna find out. It's always looking forward to something else. So, okay. So then the woman came and told her husband, a man of God. Well, wait a minute. God could never come as a man. But this, she doesn't recognize. She assumes that possibly it's the appearance of the angel of God, but just that he appeared awesome. But she, unlike everybody else before, did not ask where he came from or his name.
Right.
Just, she did not go to the tree of the knowledge of good. This should harken back to the garden. This should remind you that she did not want to know. She wanted to be obedient.
Right.
It's an interesting play on the Genesis account right there.
Sure is.
So, but he said to me, behold, you shall conceive and give birth to a son, and now you shall not drink. And she talks about the Nazarite vow. And then she says that the boy will be a Nazarite to God until his death. Then Manoah entreated the Lord. He called in prayer, O Lord, please let the man of God whom you have sent come to us again, that he may teach us what to do for the boy who is to be born. Why did he need a second word?
I guess he number one, he wasn't a witness. You're talking about the father. He didn't actually, the angel didn't come to him. Came to his wife.
Came to his wife.
I'm assuming that he wasn't sure.
This is the culture.
Right.
This is the culture of the Bible. If you know about history, then you know a woman didn't.
She's not even named here.
Yeah,
right.
she did not have the ability to call the shots like this.
Right. The mother of one of the greatest late judges in the period is not named.
And this is also a Genesis theme. Mm-hmm. That the woman would be minimized and made to serve,
right?
Even though she would strive after equality with her husband. Right here, you see the garden curse.
Sure do.
Right? And God himself saw fit to explain, but Manoah needed God to explain, not his wife.
Right.
It's the garden. I mean, all the curse
is.
stuff is all just present in these things. So, let's do some name stuff here. Samson, son-like.
Interesting.
Not son like the son of a father, but son like the shining sun in the sky.
Like the light.
The light bringer.
Yeah.
Okay. Manoah, rest. What was Noah?
Yeah.
Rest.
Interesting.
This should bring you right back to the days of Noah. And what did it open with? Each one did what was right in his own eyes.
Uh-huh.
You see the motifs?
Yep.
They're flowing all through this stuff. Zorah is the hornet's place. So what had happened to the Danites? Do you know any of the history at this point?
My understanding is that they take a portion and fail to conquer it, and they
totally failed to conquer it. They were cast out by the Amorites.
Right.
Yep. So they had the sea places, the places by the sea, and now they're in the hornet's place because they're just constantly in fighting. The Amorites were more powerful than the Danites.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. So you're going to see in a minute here why that's so true. But God understands the culture. So he listened to the voice of rest. And the angel of the Lord came again to the woman as she was sitting in the field, but rest was not with her. So the woman ran quickly and told her husband, behold, the man who came the other day has appeared to me. Then Manoah arose and followed his wife, and they came to the man, and he said to him, are you the man who spoke to the woman? And he said, I am.
I love the Bible.
Yeah, I just love this one. So now that being said, this is not the kind of I am thing,
right?
This is just said it is me.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. So Manoah said, now when your words come to pass, what shall the boy's mode of life and his vocation? So he knew that he was to be a Nazarite, but he didn't know what he was supposed to do. So fair, right? He did take the advice. He did listen. The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, let the woman pay attention to all that I said. What is he doing? He's pointing to her and he's saying, she has agency too, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I told her what it would be.
Right.
He should not eat anything that comes from the vine, nor drink wine or strong drink, nor eat anything unclean. Let her observe all that I commanded. She is your equal, Manoah.
That's what that's the way I read that.
Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, please let us detain you so that we may prepare a young goat for you. What's a young goat?
A kid.
A sin offering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, though you detain me, and in this case, it's like a free will offering. Now listen to what he says. I will not eat your food, but if you prepare a burnt offering, that's a sin offering.
Right, got it.
Then offer it to the Lord. For Manoah did not know that he was speaking to the angel of the Lord.
Oh, that's interesting.
What does that say about the culture at this point?
They've wandered far afield.
They can't even recognize who
Right.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph.
The interesting
Moses,
thing, though,
Joshua.
in this entire book of Judges, God's reaching in instead of like the days before Noah, where he's like, "Nope, I'm going to send a flood." Here, he's reaching in to.
Well, that's why.
redeem them.
That's exactly why I was pointing out earlier that this is just like the days before Noah.
Right.
But what was the promise of the days before Noah, or about the time after Noah? Never again will I destroy the people by water. Instead, it's held for the day of fire. There's always something more looking forward.
Right.
So this is actually the introduction of the theme that brings us to the new covenant.
Got it.
This is the moment. So this is what's happening, okay? God is saying the whole world is returning to what it was before the flood.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to intervene by bringing a child. And rest is going to receive rest. But that child will have to be a truly set apart one.
Hence the Nazarite vow.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's the theme.
Very cool.
Now let's see how this happens. Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "What is your name?" Again, the tree thing, right?
Right.
The man wants to rule with agency. He's always looking to know the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And God says, "Why do you ask my name? Seeing it's wonderful counselor, mighty
Right,
God."
right.
You notice he never gives his name yet
I see that.
because he's yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
So Manoah took the young goat with the grain offering and offered it on the rock to the Lord. It was on an uncut stone,
Right.
right? And he performed wonders while Manoah and his wife looked on. Something supernatural was happening.
Right.
For it came about when the flame went up from the altar toward heaven and the angel of the Lord ascended. Who ascended and descended?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as it was changed, this man God ascended. He went with the offering.
So now Manoah knows he's dealing with the divine.
They fell on their faces and worshipped.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm just saying, man, God is real.
And now he's freaking out a little bit because he thinks he's seen God.
Yeah. Then he says, "We're going to die." And he says, "Nope, you're not going to die. If the Lord wanted to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have let us heard things like that." Then the woman, she gave birth to Samson, and he grew up, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him in Mahanadan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. So this is a place, right, that the family of the Danites had. Okay.
Right.
Now the thing is this is like a future looking moment. Okay. This is a place where it's the beginning of conquest.
Right.
Okay. So the Spirit of the Lord was on him. Eshtaol means a request, an entreaty. The Philistines, you know what it means? It's just invaders.
Got it.
So this is why scholars have problems with like the areas, because the Philistines didn't call themselves Philistines.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little bit challenging because, and I've said this before, the Bible doesn't make a claim to be the only truth.
Right. Well,
it's a worldview. It's a competing claim.
Right. And they probably had their own name that nobody knows, and the Egyptians would have called them the Sea Peoples and et cetera, right?
Yeah. It's all that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, I mean, you know, these Philistines, these are the invaders. So Samson, he went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah, one of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came back. Wait a minute. Is he supposed to go take a daughter from the Philistines?
No, but he is in the tribe of Dan, and if everybody does what's right in their own mind, right?
God, we're going to find out that God is using even the disobedience of the people, right? So then his father and mother said to him, "Is there no woman among your daughters or relatives?" They're like, you can't do this. Why would you take a wife from these these uncircumcised Philistines, the nations? But Samson says to his father, "Get her for me, for she looks good to me."
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a very humble man.
No, it doesn't sound like a Nazirite either, does it?
Yeah. So his father and his mother did not know it was from the Lord, for he was seeking an occasion against the Philistines. Now at the time, the Philistines were ruling over Israel. So the Bible, for me, puts a lot of things in like a majesty kind of form.
Right.
Like God is the one doing this. But God never asked anybody to live this way.
Right.
What he's doing is he's working in a dark place where in disobedient people.
And working for good.
Yeah, and working for good, all these things. It's super good. So, it's really important to note that God is still working on your behalf, regardless of what you've done.
Right.
Right? And we can prove that because the scriptures show us that.
Yep. Over and over and over.
That he's good, that he's patient, that he gives grace, that he's kind. And it really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with his plan.
And for his glory.
He's working toward his end.
Yep.
Period. End of story. So it's the divine initiative, and it precedes repentance. The people didn't repent, but God was there to bring about his purpose by showing us that he was going to invade the world by bringing a child that was totally set apart onto the earth among a people.
Right.
Right? So, okay, understood. Now, for us Christians, we call this a Christophany, okay? Meaning Jesus' appearance, right? For Jewish people, they just emphasize the obedience to the Nazirite restriction.
Right.
All right, and then that this is just a messenger who has the authority of God.
Right.
So, the actual offering was offered to the Lord our God, and this who had authority went back to the Lord our God.
Right.
So, I think you gotta jump through some pretty pronounced theological hurdles to make that be true, especially given all of the appearances of this angel of God.
Right.
But, Israel doesn't recognize the God-man yet.
Not yet.
They will. Okay, so the parents are notably upset, and with good reason. Now, they went and did it anyways, right? Mm-hmm. So the Philistines, they were ruling over Israel. Now Samson, he went down to Timnah with his father and mother, and they came to the vineyards of Timnah, and behold, a young lion came out. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, so he tore it. No big deal. And he told him,
I can't. What an image that is.
It's, this is the type of stuff that makes the Bible kind of hard to understand for us, because we look at this and we go, well, he did that with his hands.
Right.
Like you don't destroy a lion with your own hands.
Well, it says a young lion, so it could be a kitten. I'm being facetious.
Yeah, so it says that he tore him as if he tore a young goat, through nothing. It says, fine, it was a young lion, but still they're pretty fearsome.
Yeah, no kidding.
But he didn't tell his mother and father what he'd done, so he was traveling separate from them. So he went down and talked to the woman, and she looked good to Samson. He saw and he took. Mm-hmm. What's that motif?
Yeah.
The garden.
That's the garden.
Right?
Sure is.
So when he returned later to take her, he saw and he took. He turned aside to look at the carcass of the lion, and behold, a swarm of bees and honey was in it. He saw that, and so he went and took some of it. And then he ate it. Saw, took, ate.
Yep.
This doesn't sound like the one who was totally set apart, who would be the future and forever judgment kind of thing.
Right.
Right? So what we're seeing here is that God will intervene and he's going to bring someone, but this one isn't actually the one.
No, this is just partial obedience.
This is God showing something and making sure that that one could eventually arise by making sure that the people could overcome their enemies in the temporal moments.
Right.
Right? So when he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them to eat, and they ate it. Israel is always leading Israel astray, just like the church is always leading the church astray.
Yep.
We teach things that aren't true from our pulpits.
Yep.
But he did not tell them that he had scraped the honey out of the body of the lion. He knew the difference. He knew he was not supposed to touch a dead body. He took a Nazirite vow.
Yep.
Then his father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, for the young men customarily did this. There's a wedding Supper of the Lamb.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So this one was promised to the nations, right?
Yep.
This one reached out to the nations. There's a whole motif in this thing. When they saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with them. Then Samson said to them, "Let me now propound a riddle to you. If you will indeed tell it to me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen wraps and 30 changes of clothing." Now, the people of Canaan were not known for like clothing,
Right.
but the people of Mesopotamia were.
Okay.
And the Israelites had that. They had exceptional clothing. Think
Right.
Joseph's many coats kind of thing.
Right.
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 And it's also extreme wealth. I mean, at this point in history, if you had a couple pairs of clothes, you had a lot.
Right. Everybody else is walking around in threadbare.
Yeah,
homespun.
maybe one, maybe like just, basically you'd have to wash clothes all the time because you didn't have much, So, but if you're unable to tell me, then you should give me 30 linen wraps and 30 changes of clothes. So he told him the riddle. Out of the eater comes something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. Because only he would know that.
Right.
Right. So it tells you before this that he kept this secret. That he broke his Nazirite vow.
Mm-hmm.
Eating the food of the gods. Right?
Yeah.
Honey is something that never spoils. This
Right.
is something that has theological consequence. In the history of the world, honey is known as a thing. Right? So they had 3 days. You see the 7, the 3.
Yep, sure do.
Right? So it came about on the 4th day that they said to Samson's wife, "Entice your husband so that he'll tell us the riddle." What is spiritual warfare?
This is an example of it.
It's a very,
Yep.
very real example of this. So, go back to the garden. Adam was present with her, right? Like
Yeah.
they were together.
Yep.
It was not good that a man should be alone. So he was given the wife,
Right.
right? She saw it, took and ate. Then she gave.
And he participated knowingly
Exactly.
without correction.
This is all the garden fall narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So that this deliverer we know, biblically, cannot be that one.
Right.
Right? But God is intervening still, even in a failed world like this. Like, I think that's the biggest thing we're supposed to see. That throughout this process, God is still intervening, even in a fallen world, for his own purpose. It really doesn't have much to do with the people. It's temporal.
Right.
Right? For them, they get some relief. But at the same time, Samson couldn't be the one.
Nope.
Daniel Black, who's a Christian scholar, says he's a flawed deliverer raised by grace, not merit.
Right.
I mean, for as many of our scholars say that this is a covenant of law, we also say things like this. Barry Webb, the birth narrative mirrors Isaac and Samuel. It's a divine pattern, right?
Right.
Meaning those are the ones that had the woman that can't conceive thing,
Yeah.
both Isaac
Yeah.
and Samuel. So this is number 3. 3 has great significance. This is kind of the capstone of that story, I would say.
Right.
Right? From the Jewish worldview, from Rashi, it emphasizes obedience to the Nazirite restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the focus of obedience shouldn't be a Christian theological position because we bring Jesus back.
Right.
To the Jewish people, yes, it would make sense that this focus would be that focus because Deuteronomy and, this tells you if you're obedient, you'll be blessed, right?
Right.
But after you're not blessed, after you fail, you can't be obedient and restore it.
Right. Well, I mean, and clearly he's disobedient all the way down the line here.
Yes.
I mean, we have a Nazirite going after a non-Hebrew, not even a Hebrew female. I mean, he's
Well, listen to the darkness in the world, and this is why God reaches in, even among Dan, even among Manoah and
Right.
Samson with all his flaws, because this is what happens: entice your husband so that he will tell us the riddle. And all this is over clothing. Now it's great wealth. Don't get me wrong, but if you don't, we will burn you and your father's house with fire.
right.
Have you invited us to impoverish us? So you see how much wealth it is,
Yeah.
right? So for
Yeah.
the love of money, great evil.
Oh yeah.
Jesus taught us something.
And then
about
she
that.
resorts to tears to get the answer to the riddle.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Samson
funny.
let the manipulation begin. You only hate me. You do not love me. You have propounded a riddle in the sons of my people and have not told it to me. And he said to her, behold, I have not told it to my mother and father. So why would I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, look, I did something I shouldn't have done, but I'm going to get some money out of this thing.
And finally, he relents.
However, she
breaks
wept
him down
before him for 7 days while their feast lasted. And on the 7th day, so here he thought he was good, right? She pressed him so hard, she then told the riddle. The men of the city said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? There we go. Mm-hmm. You would not have told this to me if you hadn't plowed with my heifer.
Uh-huh.
Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, and he went down to Ashkelon and killed 30 of them, and he took their spoils and gave the changes of clothes to those who told the riddle. And his anger burned, and he went up to his father's house, but Samson's wife was given to his companions who had been his friend. Now, he must have been very angry.
Oh, yeah.
And that 30 changes of clothes, I'm sure, were pretty bloody.
And the interesting thing is Ashkelon is another Philistine city.
Yeah.
So what did he do? He went to a Philistine city and killed 30 of them and then gave those clothes to Philistines, which is pretty interesting.
It's a people against a people. And it's each doing right in his own eyes. This isn't God's thing.
No.
He never meant for us to murder one another. It's the fall. So the revenge, right? So, okay, let's continue going. But after a while, in the time of the wheat harvest, Samson visited his wife. So he calmed down, but we've already learned that she was given to someone else. So the people, this is what happened. They hated Samson.
Mm-hmm.
So the father gave him to another Philistine.
Right.
Gave her to another Philistine. He went there with a young goat. He was bringing an offering, and he was going to go in there to consummate the marriage. Again, right? This was already done. That's why she had to be given away so quickly.
Right.
She was no longer worthy.
Right.
It was. Her father had to repay for what Samson did, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But her father did not let him enter because now there's a problem. She belongs to someone else. I know of people that were once given to their beloved and that were given to someone else.
Yeah.
Her father said, I really thought you hated her intensely, so I gave her to your companion. I see a lot of theology in this statement here. I really thought that you hated her intensely, so I gave her to your companion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Israel believes that God hates her intensely.
Yeah.
And has for many years. There are very few people who are actually totally bought and sold and faithful to the covenant anymore.
Right.
Well, first of all, you can't offer sacrifices, so there's no forgiveness of sins. But after being given up like that, right? I see a lot in there. So is not her younger sister more beautiful than she? Please let her be yours. Samson said to them, then said to him, this time I shall be blameless in regard to the Philistines when I do them harm.
Now he's got motive.
Yeah, it's just getting worse.
Yep.
So he brings foxes. So it was a wealth problem last time, right?
Yep.
So now he's going to make it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
He's going after their foxes.
Yeah, he's also going to take their crops and their groves and everything.
Right?
Yeah.
So he took torches and he turned the foxes tail to tail and he put one torch between them, and then he set fire to the torches and released them into the standing grain, thus burning up both the stalks and the grain, along with the vineyards and groves. So you were mad about money? Fine.
Try this on for size.
Try this on for size. Then he took the jawbone of a donkey. Why the jawbone of a donkey?
Now that's a good question.
It's an unclean weapon.
Okay.
Yeah. Donkeys are not clean. So he took something that was unclean and dealt with the unclean.
All right.
And they're pretty brutal. They're heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he but first of all, the Philistines did exactly like they said they were going to do.
They torched her.
Yeah. And they said to Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he took his wife and gave her to his companion. So the Philistines came up and they burned her and her father with fire. Samson said to them, I will take revenge on you. He struck them with a great slaughter. All right. A brutal people, man.
Yeah, these are tough times.
These are really, 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 really tough times. It's deliverance, though, without covenant faithfulness, isn't it?
Yep.
And it's escalating violence, not restoration. And it only gets worse.
Yep.
The men of Judah said, why have you come up against us? The people of his own people are coming to bind him to give him to the Philistines.
Yeah.
Because they're rulers over them. And they said, we'll burn you.
Yeah.
Give me this man.
Yeah, so you've got one of the sons of Jacob essentially betraying another son of Jacob in name of the Philistines.
This is a covenant of law to you?
Right now, this is a mess. They're spiraling into complete apostasy, in my opinion.
This is why I couldn't be a dispensationalist or a covenant theologian. Right. I don't see it.
I don't either.
What I see is a failed people, just like the church. We so quickly turned. I can't wait to get into Christian history. We so quickly turned. I mean, we're no different.
Right.
But God is always faithful. He was faithful to his own covenant. It had nothing to do with us.
Yep.
And, now it's brother against brother.
Yeah, well, this is just another example how God sifts people through time. I mean, this is a sifting.
But you know what the difference is? So the garden motif is present here. It's brother against brother. But in this case, they're not going to kill him.
Right.
And that was the promise, right? So they come and they say, we're going to bind you and we're going to give you to the Philistines. And Samson says, swear to me that you won't kill me. So this is where God intervened. So the garden motif does not totally play out.
Right.
Right? And this is where Israel has her benefit, because God has been speaking into the people, and regardless of their state of covenant faithfulness, they're not like Cain.
Right.
They're not going to kill him. They said to him, no, but we're going to bind you fast, meaning strongly, and give you into their hands, and surely they won't, but we won't kill you. But who was bound and given into the hands of
Joseph? Jesus.
Joseph.
Joseph.
First it's Joseph.
Right.
Then Jesus.
Right. Now I was thinking this is kind of like the Sanhedrin. We're not going to kill you. We're going to give you to the people who are going to kill you.
Yes. All those motifs are present in this.
Sure are.
These stories, they play through repeatedly because that's how God teaches us. He teaches us through patterns.
Right.
He gives us, we were talking about this earlier, there's an energy exchange. There's life that comes and goes. And it's, through these minimal things, this short life, these short time periods, where he works and then he gets it written down and memorialized for this.
Right.
And he expects us to honor this and remember it and teach it and learn it and teach it, right? There's a cycle, learning and teaching and learning and teaching. We're supposed to pass it to our children so that they can build onto this. Now, I fell absolutely in love with this stuff once I realized that it's so much better than everybody told me it was.
Yeah.
They told me that this is all just like law and it's nothing you have to worry about, and it's kind of really not worth reading, but I don't care what people say. I wanted to find out about Jesus.
It's actually, this is progressive revelation.
I believe
it doesn't look like it, but it is.
Yeah, and when I see Manoah, and I mean rest, and then Samson, like the sun.
Yep.
All this stuff speaks to me, right? So I fell in love with it because I realized that the covenant of grace has been since the very beginning. Adam received grace and Jesus was grace. The first and the second Adam, right?
Yep.
So all through this whole thing, all I'm doing is learning about Jesus, and I see him in everything. So I see the difference between the garden motif and this, though, because the Philistines, yes, they killed their own. They burned their brother and their sister.
Sure did.
But here, Israel did not do that. So say what you want to about Israel. They are touched by God. They're a little bit changed.
Yeah, yep.
Just like the church is a little bit changed.
Yep.
We're not quite as bad.
Not Cain. Not Cain.
We're not Cain. So when he came to Lehi, the Philistines shouted as they met him, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, so that the ropes were on his arm. They were as flax and burned by fire. And his bonds dropped from his hands. He found a fresh jawbone of a donkey. So he reached out and took it and killed 1,000 men. One kills 1,000. This is the promise that was given to Joshua. one man shall turn away 1,000.
Right.
Okay, so we're seeing how the Bible continues to speak to itself. And Samson said, now this is like a song for him. With the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps, with the jawbone of a donkey, I've killed 1,000 men.
Right.
When he had finished speaking, he threw the jawbone from his hand, and he named that place Ramat Lehi. Okay, so Moses, it's the high place of the jawbone.
Right.
Then he almost dies of thirst. Who needs water? This is another one of those themes that runs all through this thing. God is constantly providing for his people life-giving water.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, the living water.
The living water. So, you did this for me. I was able to conquer all these people. Now shall I die of thirst at the hand and fall into the hands of these uncircumcised, it's called. But God split the hollow place that is in Lehi. That's splitting of the rock again.
Right.
It's like Moses, right?
Yep.
So God is showing, and listen to you discerning listeners out there, nobody deserved for this to happen.
Right.
Right? At this point, Israel is disobedient. They're stuck in a place that they didn't conquer. There's zero reason in Deuteronomy for God to care.
Right.
But here he is. He splits it, and he gives Samson life-giving water. And his strength returns, and he's revived. Therefore he named it En Hakor, which is in Lehi to this day, the spring of him who called. God called. God is reaching into the world. God is saving his people. Now, it looks like it ends here, but it doesn't. And so he judged Israel 20 years in the days of the Philistines. This is where every other story ends.
Right, but he keeps going.
Yeah, this one keeps going because it's a point of reference. It's something that should draw you to the importance of Samson.
Right.
To understand that where every other story has ended for the judges right here, not Samson. There's more.
Right.
There's more. Okay, so Samson went to Gaza and saw a harlot there. And he went into her. Man, racking it up.
He sure is. What a great Nazarite vow.
Judah did something like that too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When it was told to the Gazites, saying Samson has come here, they surrounded the place and lay in wait all night at the gate of the city, because he has to go out there, right? Like these are controlled access places. City gates were where all the business and all the checking, it's all that kind of thing. Think like port of entry for us.
Right.
It's like that. And they just kept silent all night, saying, let us wait until the morning light. So you go have your pleasure through the night, but when the day comes, we'll kill him. Mm-hmm. Now Samson lay until midnight, and at midnight he rose and took hold of the doors of the city gates and the two posts and pulled them up along with the bars, and he put them on his shoulders and carried them up to the top of the mountain, which is opposite Hebron. Now, who else created in the darkness? This is like,
I see what you're saying.
It's the undoing of violence and chaos and deep waters.
Right.
It's a God motif. It's like a creation thing. Where God is, the chaos, the darkness, and the deep, it doesn't matter.
Right.
God is in this. He devised the plan. Woke up, solved the problem. Mm-hmm. He created for himself the way out, and he decreated their strength.
And took their gates.
He like opened up their city.
Yeah, can you imagine you wake up in the morning waiting on Samson and the gates are gone and so is Samson?
Yeah. He's like, I don't even have to destroy you. I'm just going to take your gates away and you'll be raided.
Sounds like a Leonard Skinner song.
So he carried them to the top of the mountain, which is opposite of Hebron. This is right in the midst of Israel.
Yep.
Yeah. The Hebron is the place where Abraham dwelt.
Mm-hmm.
So he just took away their safety.
Yep.
And there was nothing they could do about it. After this, it came about that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek. In that too, before we move on, the gates of hell shall not prevail.
Right.
This is when I read that, I think of these like stories where God can open the gates.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gaza was another one of those Philistine cities, right?
Yes, it was. And it's one of those cities that at this point in current history, we ought to take note that,
Yeah.
There have been enemies there in the past.
Uh-huh.
And it's a spiritual battle, and we should pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Yep.
After this, it came about that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. It's hard for me not to say it the way I want to. Delilah. The lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, entice him and see what great strength. Listen, spiritual warfare.
Uh-huh.
Okay? There is never an end when, and I want us to learn this really, because where we introduce evil, the evil is invasive.
Right.
Right? Wherever there is evil, it doesn't stop until you are like it.
Right, and so this is basically a case where if Paul were around here, he would have said, run, flee from it.
Yes, run and flee from it.
Yep.
Or Jesus said, cut it off.
Right. Delilah, she probably smiled like a shark.
Oh, I bet she was beautiful and seductive. Women have a magic of, and listen, I'm not saying women are evil. I'm saying where there's spiritual warfare. What was the first place the serpent talked to?
Yeah.
To the woman.
Yep.
Right? So it's about the deception, because how do you get the man the thing that he treasures?
Right.
His wife, his
Paramour,
children,
his paramour in this case.
Yeah, the women on the outside who can seduce him. Like,
Right.
You pastors and preachers and men out there who are trying to run your house, you better flee from women, because that is the place you're going to be tempted. That's a fact. It's all through the Bible. Delilah said to Samson, please tell me where your great strength is. So this whole thing continues, and the Philistines really want to kill him. Now, he keeps telling her, and she keeps accusing him of being a liar. And she's right. He won't tell him, right?
He's telling her what she wants to hear, sort of, so that he can get her to come back. So they're both kind of being deceptive here.
He's using her for what he wants, and she's trying to use him for what she wants.
Right.
It's... most modern relationships and dating sites are built on this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's super bad, and this is a symptom of the fall, nothing more, nothing less. So he finally tells her that he's a Nazirite, and that she cut his hair, and that's what she does. She brings him peace on her lap, and then she cuts his hair. Then he's taken by the Philistines, but he didn't know the Lord departed from him. And in whose undoing was it? Samson caused his own undoing.
Right.
Which is the poetic part of this, okay? So God will work on your behalf. He will work on the behalf of his future. But be careful with what you do with yourself.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it was Samson who did this to himself.
Yeah, which is amazing.
He's definitely not living the way he was supposed to. And sin was crouching at the doors, desired to have him, and eventually it did get him.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to the wrong place, he saw and he took, and then he was manipulated to the point that this happened. So the Philistines sees him, they gouged out his eyes. Now he can't see. That's total motif.
Right.
Total motif. Paul lost his sight.
Yep.
And then he took Nazirite vows. You know why?
No, I thought I didn't know that.
This story.
Oh, that's cool.
This is Paul's thing.
Right.
I guarantee you, this is the stuff he was thinking of. This is all end times or Jesus times type stuff anyway.
Right.
Like, this story points completely to that time frame, all right? Because the power of God was with Israel, but Israel denied keeping the way.
Right.
Then eventually their secret became known and they became weak, right? God was their secret, his ways, his spirit. God had to depart because they wouldn't. Then they were given up and now they can't see. But at some point his power is going to return and they're going to undo their enemies. Right, so it's
a constant cycle. In this case, a devolving cycle for a while.
Yeah, and this isn't the end. This is just like the beginning of that motif. Right. So now the great thing is that the proud are too proud. So they all gathered together and they were offering sacrifices and getting drunk and partying. And they said, hey, let's bring Samson in here so that he can entertain us. But his hair was growing back. So he was brought between the two pillars. And the interesting thing is they know that the Philistines, they actually built places that were exactly that this could happen. Yeah. And so, they've got these places, right, where it shows these pillars that if you were to take out two pillars, these places would actually collapse on themselves. So Samson said to the boy who was taken to him, they brought a young boy to bring him in. They didn't even have a soldier with them.
Right.
He said, let me feel the pillars which on the house rests. And the house was full of men and women, and the lords of the Philistines were there, and they all died because he called on the Lord. And the Lord said, please remember. And he said, please remember me. Then he grasped them and he pushed them and they were crushed. Everybody in there fell. And then he was taken to a place and he was buried between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah, his father, where he judged for 20 years. Who died for Israel?
In which time? Which time?
But you see, this motif keeps coming, right? Like this motif keeps coming. This points to the anointed one who is set apart, dying.
Right.
Right. Like this is. I'm pretty sure Paul saw these things.
Right.
Like there's this very important thing in Judges. In the story, it's not just a kid's story when it comes to Samson. This is a very important thing. It goes on and it ends and then it picks up again. There's a second time. Right? And that second time, I think, is very messianic. It's the one who is delivered to the Gentiles because of the sin, right? Mm-hmm. And then he ends up crushing them.
Right.
The evil ones who come against the people. It's all there.
I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so he was successful at what he did. Chapter 17, Micah. Micah's an interesting guy who is like the Lord. The Levites are joined to the Lord. Dan is a judge and Laish is a lion. Those are the names, okay? So the hill country of Ephraim. Now, Dan, Ephraim, right? These are all these kind of central places around the places of worship. He said to his mother, the 1,100 pieces of silver which were taken from you. Now, this 1,100 pieces, this is, there's a part before this that talks about 1,100 pieces of silver, and it's important to note that.
Right.
Now, he stole from his mom.
Right.
But he brings it back, and they produce a false god. They make an idol from it.
Right.
An engraved thing. And it becomes a house shrine with the ephod. Where's the ephod from?
Well, should be with the high priest, right? It's the.
Well, remember, there was one made by in the land of Gilead.
Right.
By
So you're talking about Gideon?
Yeah, by Gideon.
Yep.
This is probably the ephod.
Right.
Yep. So, these people are worshiping idols. A graven image. I mean, it's all things. So Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and a household idols, and consecrated one of his sons that he might become a priest. They have a totally new priestly system. And then here you go, no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. This is a repeating theme, and it becomes a very strong one. Mm-hmm. But a young man from Bethlehem in Judah. Bethlehem is important. The house of bread. The family of Judah, who was a Levite. He was staying there. Then the man departed from the city, and he said, wherever he finds a place, he will go. Micah said, well, will you be my priest? He knew that it was important to have a real priest. So there's some memory of the agreement.
Right.
That's the point here, right? So I know that the Lord will prosper me, but here comes Dan.
Yeah.
Because they were driven out from their land. And listen to what they say. In those days, the tribe of the Danites was seeking an inheritance for themselves to live in, for until that day, an inheritance had not been allotted to them. But that's not true.
That's right. That's not true.
They were given an inheritance.
They failed to secure it.
They failed to secure it. They were driven out by the Amorites. So here they come to Micah, they ask for a blessing, then they go back and they take the idols and they take the priest and they say, we'll kill everybody, basically, unless you come with us. Was it better for you, Levite, to stay with one family or to serve an entire family, right? To stay with one household,
right?
Or to serve a tribe. So he says yes. They go and they destroy a place that was living in peace, and they're acting like it's like the Joshua era, right? So is it the right thing? Yeah, when Joshua was alive.
Right, exactly.
But their land was taken from them, and now they're going to take other people's land.
Yep.
And they're doing it by theft and manipulation and threats of violence against their own people.
And using the Levite to justify it.
This is a total corruption of the system.
Certainly is. And it's interesting, like this is Dan. Okay, we're talking about the exact same, I mean, even the references to the city, Zoar, and, you know, we just had this in Samson.
Yeah, where God was working among these people.
Yep.
So, you know, all this happens. They go and they take that land, and it's okay. I mean, they spy it out. It's like a replay,
right?
Of
Micah goes running after them, and they've put the women and children up front and the fighting men in the back.
Yeah, because they knew they were going to go to war over this.
And basically, Micah says, "Nope, you can have the idol, you can have the priest. I'll see you later."
Because they were going to kill him. It was brother against brother.
And he just disappears from the story. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's.
Yep. So we're watching the Hebrews spin into apostasy here, the Israelites.
That's right. Yeah,
they've obviously become almost no different, and then it just gets worse.
It gets so okay. So we've seen, two tribes at this, 3 tribes. Judah, a Levite came out of Judah.
Right.
And he's perfectly fine with idols.
Yep. Yeah.
You got Ephraim building them.
Yep. And the Levite's willing to go be the priest in a parallel system. You know, I think the tabernacle right now is still at Shiloh, right?
Yeah.
Or Shechem, one of the 2 places.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Dan is willing to kill his brothers to have the blessing of this other priestly system.
Right.
My goodness. Now it came about in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite staying in the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim. So this is another Levite in Ephraim, who took a concubine for himself from Bethlehem in Judah. But his concubine played the harlot against him, and she went away with him to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah, and there was a period of 4 months. Then her husband arose and went after her to speak tenderly to her in order to bring her back. So you have, again, Judah, this focus on Judah. So in the point of this is the rulers, they're producing women that can't even be faithful to the Levitical husbands.
Right.
And she goes back. Now, he goes and he tries to make peace because he wants her back after what she did to him. This is like God pursuing those who,
Right.
Right. So when the girl's father saw, he was happy, and he tried to detain him. He detained him for multiple days. Why do you think he tried to detain him?
Well, probably because he didn't want his daughter going off with this guy. She probably came running home and said he's a horrible man or something.
I think he was afraid.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he was afraid for her safety.
Well, unfortunately for him, this doesn't turn out very well for the daughter.
He was right. Right? So the heart of a father, he tried to protect her. But on the 5th day, he says, hey, please detain yourself. And she did. But tomorrow you may arise. Then the man was not willing to spend the night. Why? Because it's tomorrow's. There's a thing. The Sabbath is approaching, right? Like he needs to be at home.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So he arose and departed and came to Jerusalem, and they would not go to there, right? So there's this odd focus.
Right. They end up in Gibeah.
Yeah. Well,
Gibeah's in Benjamin.
How was it better?
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, one thing I could say is, this is obviously the story is going to prove me false here, but Jerusalem, which is not Jerusalem yet, is not technically not a Israelite town. It still hadn't been conquered by David, right?
Yeah.
So, but the Gibeonites...
it should have been conquered at
It should have been.
Joshua's time.
But so the
right?
Gibeonites, on the other hand, those were the guys that had gone to Joshua and said, hey, we're from far, far away, right?
Yeah, and these are the ones that we were talking about earlier that were like super
so,
good for Israel.
So this Levite probably thought, well, if I have to choose between a mostly Benjaminite town or a Jebusite town, I'm going to Gibeah, where the Benjaminites are. That was a mistake.
Oh,
So there's shades of Sodom and Gomorrah in this one.
Oh, it's not shades, it's outright. So, yeah, I mean, it just is shocking to me. Now we don't know what could have been, but I don't. There's no logic in this for me, because it's not like they were any different than the Jebusites.
No,
I don't understand this. So they said we're not going to turn aside to the city of foreigners who are not the sons of Israel, but we'll go to Gibeah. So they decided that they were going to go, and they were going to stay in Gibeah or Ramah. So they passed along, and they went near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin, another son of Joseph. The two tribes that were split, right? Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. I'm sorry, the two tribes of Ephraim, Manasseh, this is Benjamin. So they turned aside there in order to enter and lodge. They entered and they sat down, but nobody would take them in. An old man came out of the field, and he said, hey, you guys got to come in with me. Don't stay out here. And so he took care of them. He fed them. He gave them bread and wine. Everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
Except, while they were celebrating, behold, the men of the city, worthless fellows, surrounded the house, pounding at the door. They said, hey, bring them out. We're going to do
unspeakable things
to them. So the man said, look, I'll offer you these two women. Like,
yeah. And
okay, you Christians, you non-believers out there, you're witnessing this, you're seeing it, you're saying it's wrong. You're right.
Yep.
You are right. This is wrong.
And that's the whole point of this story.
And that's the whole point of this. This is the fall.
This is why I like the Bible. It doesn't polish these stories up. It literally is out here, warts and all. And the message here, it turns into a civil war. This is why Benjamin, I never knew it, but this is why Benjamin becomes an insignificant military force.
Yeah, Benjamin did.
It's like Benjamin versus everybody.
They turned the ways of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yep.
Now, what is close to Jerusalem there? What is the Valley of the Dead Sea is where Sodom and Gomorrah were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arabah. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, and this is right by there.
Right. Yeah.
It just there's something there. I'm convinced that there are spiritual things associated with places. I don't know why that's so, but I really do believe that the bent takes you.
Right.
Like there's kind of like
that's
things
like
that draw you.
Yeah, that's like the whole land of Bashan that's east of the Sea of Tiberias or the Sea of Galilee.
That's right.
Right, when Jesus crosses and remember, peace be still, and then they land and the guy comes out and with the demons named Legion. Anyway, we're getting way off.
We're getting a little off.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
So when was the father justified in not wanting to send her away? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, because this is what I mean.
So basically, what happens is they want to do unspeakable things. And the Levite shoves his concubine out.
Yeah, he seized his concubine and brought her to them.
And just says, here, take her, not me.
They used her to death.
Yeah. And so then what does he do? He cuts her up into 12 pieces.
And sends her out.
And sends her, yeah.
Limb by limb to all the territory of Israel.
Can you imagine a Levite doing that to a human body that belonged to God?
They were professional butchers.
That's how far away we've gotten.
That's how far they've gotten. All who saw it said nothing like this has ever happened or been seen among the sons of Israel.
And this is in the heart of the territory of Israel. This is Gibeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, brother against brother, they do eventually crush the head of their brother. Benjamin gets wiped out.
Just about.
Yeah. There's only a few who are left.
And not really enough wives to say anything about, right?
Yeah.
And all these tribes took a vow also during this period. They all took a vow that they wouldn't give any of their daughters to Benjamin because Benjamin had done this to this Levite's concubine. So all the men of the other 11 tribes they took a vow. And as a result, when the war's over, now what can they do? You can't marry into Benjamin, so they got to come up with something. right? Which is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
They're so far away from the law of Moses here that it's hard to believe that we're talking about Israelites.
Yeah, these are not people that Moses knew.
Nope.
Yeah, so, totally crushed. They're cut off. I mean, my mind goes to Genesis.
Right.
It goes to cast out from the land.
Yeah.
Exiled, all that kind of thing. And it makes sense. I mean, the thing that they did was worse than anything that had ever been done. And it just... I just, to you theologians out there, I challenge you, send a message, write a letter, modernmindancientbook.org. There's a contact. How can you defend covenant theology, dispensationalism, even replacement theology, anything like? How can you defend that and say, Israel was cut off for not keeping the law, when God was always working among them, even though they weren't keeping the law anyway?
Yeah.
And then what do you do with us if that's the case? Like, you take all these lessons, you learn all these things about what Israel was, and then go look at church history and tell me we're innocent. I mean, the covenant of grace is present here at this very moment, and this is the darkest time to date in anything that we've discussed, and it culminates with one of the brothers just being cut off, totally destroyed. Even though for a while in their wickedness they were strong. Now the Benjamites did fight.
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, they fought very strongly.
Yeah, they were well acquainted with the ways of war, and they made a way for a while, but then they were eventually conquered by Israel and totally cut off. I mean, and this isn't the first time that this type of thing has happened in the history of the world, but it is the first time that it's happened among a people who were never supposed to live this way.
Right.
So now they needed to reproduce, okay? And that's where this one closes. Israel made a way. They, during a feast, they made a way. So the girls would go out and dance, and while they were dancing in the field, it was set up to where these men could go and take these women.
Right. So essentially the way I read this is the other 11 tribes are like, we're not going to have any sort of like familial relations. In other words, we're not going to allow our women to become Benjaminites, but we're going to allow the Benjaminites to go out and capture them, and we're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at how messed up that is. As far as being, of the law of Moses or following God's commandments, being obedient, this is like sheer apostasy, in my opinion.
Well,
it's horrifying.
Okay, cursed is he who gives a wife to Benjamin. I mean,
that's just like the vow. Remember earlier in the book where I can't remember his name now, but he comes home and the first thing that comes out of my house, I'm going to sacrifice to the Lord.
Yeah.
And then he has to keep the vow, and God's probably going, when did I tell you to kill children, dude? Never.
Yeah. And I mean, so the part that trips me out about this is the gymnastics you have to produce here.
Yeah.
To make this. So, cursed is he who gives a son to Benjamin, but then, hey, we're going to give a daughter to Benjamin, but then we're going to give our daughters to Benjamin by conspiring with them that you would go and lie in wait and during one of our and it doesn't even say, it just says a feast, which makes me think this isn't even like a biblical feast, right? This isn't something that God commanded. This is them knowing the difference between good and evil.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is
the wrong tree.
This is using evil to correct evil.
Yeah, it's the wrong tree.
And in my opinion, evil doesn't have a problem with evil fighting evil. The whole that's not a thing.
They're taking the wife from the daughters of Shiloh. This is where the tabernacle is.
Exactly.
So it's all wrong. All of it is wrong. And
it's echoed in Gentile history. This is much like the Roman rape of the Sabine women, and that's not related to the Bible. That's Roman history, but it's the same principle. Just go take.
Just go and take. They saw and they took, and this is all about going to the wrong tree.
Yep.
This whole thing is all about going to the wrong tree. It's conspiring. It's Jacob before he became Israel. It's just the wrong thing. But God was there. He was working in it, and he was happy to continue working in it because he had a plan that was later where he would invade history by bringing one who would totally be set apart and that he would die for his people.
And this goes to here's another example of grace. Isn't Samuel coming along?
Yes.
Born to a mother who couldn't conceive.
Yeah, well, this closes here. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. This is leading to Samuel.
Right.
It's on its way to Samuel. First, we're going to do the book of Ruth.
Right.
So here we are. Human solutions, they deepen moral compromise. These covenant people, they're acting indistinguishable from the surrounding nations. There's no difference.
Exactly like Moses and Joshua both said when they prophesied, you won't be able to keep it.
Yeah. The book ends unresolved, and it's intentional. The chaos is theological. It's not just political.
Right.
There's something more. From the Jewish tradition, this sets the stage for the monarchy. But God was always supposed to be the king. This was never supposed to be this way. We're going to find out whom they've rejected, right? Mm-hmm. So there's progressive moral collapse. It goes from disobedience to distortion to total depravity. And the judges are insufficient. They need a leader now. They need a righteous king. Now that is the messianic thing.
Yep, and that's progressive revelation.
That's progressive revelation. And the point of this is not to see how bad Israel is to see how bad the world needs to come under God to go back to the Garden of Eden and learn from the true king.
Amen.
As they're rejecting their king. From tabernacle to household idols.
It's just crazy.
They just became indistinguishable from Canaan. But God continues to work through flawed agents, but still allows the consequences to unfold. Right? That's the whole point of this book. So, Samson, birth announced, spiritually empowered, death brings victory.
Yep.
Sounds like Jesus.
Sounds like Jesus.
Jesus was the perfect obedience versus Samson's failure, the true Nazarite being completely, truly set apart, and the victory through sacrificial death. I mean, it's all there. Right?
Yep.
So, how this ties back to Eden? Well, the Nazarite vow echoes the priestly holiness, right? It's Leviticus.
Mm-hmm.
In Gibeah is the reversal of the Eden order. It's violence instead of life. Idolatry. It's the golden calf pattern.
Sure is.
It's all through the scripture. Now there's tribal disunity and Babel-like fragmentation. Mm-hmm. The people are separating on what they understand as well as what they speak. There was a time when Judah came after Samson, speaking the language of their tribe up there, which they adopted, being ruled by them.
Yeah.
They began to be more in line with the Philistines than their own deliverers.
Yeah, and this is Judah, the leader.
Oh my goodness. A total, utter, and complete failure. Judges 13 to 21, it's not just a history, it's a diagnostic of the people. They don't have righteous leadership, and they're without covenant clarity. They're without ordered worship. It sets a stage for Samuel, kingship, and the need for a perfect king.
Yep, ultimately.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for the Book of Judges. We hope that you've enjoyed it, Chip. I hope that you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been very educational. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I love these books. I love going through them. We're on now to the Book of Ruth, which is an interesting interdiction.
Yeah, another example of grace.
Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to reach out to modernmindancientbook.org. If you're listening on the podcast, there's a lot more content on YouTube. You can find us wherever you would like to find us. We are on all podcast channels. YouTube has a lot more content. We invite you there. We're thankful for you. We pray the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you and turn his face towards you and bring you peace. Shalom, Chip. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, my pleasure. God bless y'all.